Apologies for starting a little late. The board was in a work and executive session, and now we are transitioning to regular session. And if you would be so kind as to join me in starting it with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item B on number 4 is approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Bevan, please call the roll.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Ms. Batchy?
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you. Item number 5, superintendent's presentations. Dr. Cooper.
All right. Tonight, each month we have a wayfinding video to share with our public about what's going on in the district, where we dip down, look at a specific story, and share that with our community so that you can just see some of the amazing things that are happening within the walls of our schools, or even beyond the walls of our schools in this case, where we get to highlight some students doing some passion work that's a personalized pathway and a collaboration with our city partners, with the Maid Chamber. I know David Charpentier is in the crowd tonight and could speak to this as well, and many other people that have come together to make this opportunity possible. So I'll turn it over to Tracy to tell more about our wayfinding video this month.
Tonight's wayfinding video is an example of our vision and mission in action, ensuring each and every Comet has opportunities to explore purposeful pathways and unlock their potential. This year, 15 Mason High School students participated in the Made Hub for Manufacturing's Skilled Trades Workshop. This opportunity was made possible through the visionary leadership of Bob Leslie, manufacturing founder of the Made Hub, alongside dedicated partners like Rick Boyle, a proud 1989 Comet Mason grad and owner of Creative Contracting, Inc., David Charpentier, Made Hub program support, and of course, Joe Schroeder, our high school XLP director. All of this, they created a space where students could explore skilled trades like carpentry, plumbing, and electrical work, not just as a class, but as a launching pad for future careers. The Skills Trade Workshop is growing the next generation of manufacturing entrepreneurs by providing hands-on experiences, real-world problem solving, and exposure to high-demand, high-reward career paths. For these students, it's more than a class. It's confidence, capability, and the realization that they can build things that last, including a future they never imagined.
The Skilled Trades Workshop started with an idea really of the owner of the Hub for Manufacturing. He wanted to create a space where kids could learn and see opportunities outside of a traditional four-year college route. That prompted conversations with the experiential learning program and Joe Schroeder at the high school, and with Rick Boyle, who's a small business owner in the downtown Mason community, about creating an opportunity for kids to learn and get introduced to the skilled trades. Things like framing, roofing, plumbing, electric, not to make them experts, to give them an opportunity to have an experience in the trades.
A lot of students don't even pick up a tape measure, don't pick up a hammer. How do you know you wouldn't want to be a carpenter if you don't pick up a hammer or don't do those things? So we don't do that typically, so this is just another opportunity for students to experience something and maybe a career field they want to be in.
I initially was biggest on being an electrician coming in, and I am still pretty big on that, but now doing more of the carpentry.
They got a number of skills where they got to try hands-on, personalize, and explore things that they were more passionate about. So I watched young people, when it related to electric, spend more time twisting wires, working on switches, making light bulbs turn on, working on single pole switches. So it really allowed them hands-on to work with experts in whatever that field was. So work with somebody who had been an electrician for 30 years and learn and understand more and explore those things that they found they had interest in.
A little bit shy at first. I wasn't sure exactly how it was all about, including myself, or kind of glancing at myself by hands. But after the first couple weeks, it quickly got pretty easy. It quickly how having to jump in, grab a hammer, grab some tool, and learn something.
The time they spent with these trades professionals, working one-on-one with them, I think that grew them in social skills, communication skills, figuring out how to do tasks and priorities, and learning something. So I think that was a big thing. The other thing, it kind of opened their world up to, like, these are different careers that could be very fruitful, like very helpful in the future.
Today here at graduation really was an opportunity to celebrate them, their accomplishment, and to celebrate their completion of these great sheds by recognizing them. And for some of those students, it was not just a graduation from this program, but an opportunity then to continue on. So for several of the students, it was joining an electrician program, a plumbing program, or getting hired to work for a company this summer after graduation.
Big congratulations to those students, and a huge thank you to our community partners for making that possible for our students to learn new things and find new passions. And we are all about potential and helping kids to discover their potential and purpose. So excited for that. Thank you again for sharing that. You can find that on our YouTube page, our site, along with the other wayfinding videos that we have released every month. So thank you again for that. Oh, our next recognition is going to a wonderful team. We bring champions here to meet with our board to recognize, to celebrate the hard work. Our first group is our MHS Moot Court 2025 champions. And so I'd like to invite down, I believe, Mr. Ring. Are you going to kick us off? If you'd come down here to the podium and tell us a little bit about who we're going to be speaking to today, and let's give them a hand. Congratulations.
Good evening, everyone. I am so honored to be here tonight, but really the students are the ones who are going to shine through, and you're going to get to hear from Aaron in a second to tell you about just the incredible experience of what Moot Court is. And so I'm incredibly proud to introduce the Mason High School 2025 Moot Court team, and we were the state champions this year. We have students Aditi, Haley, Sujin, Aprana, Santosh, and Aaron. And this is a group of students who not only rise to the occasion of exceptional, rigorous legal debate, but they do so with incredible initiative, preparation, and professionalism. And so a little bit about Moot Court. A lot of people might have heard of mock trial. Moot Court is at the appellate level, and so students take on the role of lawyers arguing constitutional issues in front of a panel of appellate judges, just like in a real court of appeals. And this year was especially memorable. So Aaron delivered the winning arguments in the championship rounds, and Team Pearson earned additional awards, including first place Best Petitioner Advocate, Aditi, got that. Aaron also got first place Best Respondent Advocate. The team as a whole, you have to write a written brief before oral arguments, and so second place Best Respondent Brief. And finally, the team received a senatorial citation from Ohio Senator Steve Wilson from the 7th District, which is really, really cool. And just the last thing I want to say, what makes this team truly special is how student-driven it is. I am here to support and advise, but they are the ones that do all of the complex research, from interpreting case law to crafting arguments. They really deserve all of the credit. So thank you for supporting programs and giving our students the opportunities to lead and shine like this. And I want to turn it over to Aaron now to say a few things.
Thanks so much, Mr. Ring. Like I said, my name's Aaron Sharma, and I just graduated from Mason High School. I was a co-captain for Moot Court this year. So I just wanted to give a heartfelt thanks to Mr. Ring. He's the one that supports us every step of the journey. He cheers us up when things don't go our way, and he always puts a smile on my face throughout competition. So I'm only standing here today because of your support, so thank you so much. I joined Moot Court in junior year, really not knowing what to expect. I did know I wanted to go into the legal field, but I knew I had nothing to worry about because the seniors last year, they really welcomed me graciously. And I felt it was a space where I could grow in my confidence and just grow in my abilities to become a better leader. Since joining the club, I've really gotten to know so many different kids who, like me, we share a passion for the law, but we also love to represent Mason High School in general. This year, our team was definitely extra ambitious. We really wanted to go farther than we had before and reach for that state title. So I think almost every year since 2021, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we've always made it to the semifinal round, and we've competed, but we've barely missed the mark to make it to the final round. And last year was especially crushing because we really did think that we would have won if we had gone to the final round. So I think our team and I, we really put in the extra effort, staying countless hours after school, spending too much money at the Cosmic Cafe in the Dream Center, just revising our arguments over and over. And I'm really proud to say that after all those rounds, we had 6 prelim rounds, we had a semifinal round, and then the daunting final round, we were finally able to bring home the state championship. Hopefully more to come in the future.
Attorneys on the board, I'm sure.
Right? You know they're chomping.
Right, yeah, we'll let you guys.
So can you guys speak a little bit? So yeah, you have 2 attorneys on the board up here. So we're just thinking back to you've actually done in your practice stand in front of an appellate. I have 2. I've got a published case. I've got one out of Cleveland.
Was it in your favor?
One published case. But thinking back to law school and just how for anybody who doesn't know how an appellate court works, you stand up there, you start making your argument, and you could get one word into your argument, or you could get no words into your argument, and you start getting peppered with questions by the judges. So I imagine that's what the competition was like. Can you speak to a little bit about kind of how you prepared for that, how you kind of went through the rigor of that prep? Who is helping you with the questions, and who did you sit in front of? How did that work to prepare you?
Yeah, so essentially when we get our case, we have a petitioner, so the appellant, and we have a side representing the state. So we have 2 advocates on our team that represent the petitioner, and then 2 advocates that represent the respondent. So when we do our arguments, we would just sit in the Dream Center and we would type up all our arguments on a Google Doc. And then, for example, Aditi argued for the petitioner, so she would just grill me on questions about why I thought the respondent was right, and then we'd switch sides, and I'd grill her on why she thought the petitioner was right. So we would kind of butt heads in practice and really make sure that what we were saying sounded right, that it made sense logically, and we were just nitpicking things up until the point of the competition to make sure that we were really putting the best step forward to anticipate those judges, because at the end of the day, like you said, you really can't prepare for everything the judges are going to say, but you can prepare to the best of your ability to hone in on your side's details and do the best you can.
That's awesome. And how many on the team are planning to go into the legal profession? Do you know? I was gonna venture to guess that if you're in moot court competition, you're probably all headed that way. But just know when you get to law school, you're gonna be so far ahead of second year. Most law schools do appellate advocacy in the second year. You're gonna be ready for second year before you walk in the door first year. So that's just incredible. So congratulations.
So I'm interested in what drew the 4 of you, each of you, to moot court as opposed to mock trial.
So Aparna, Aditi, and I do moot court and mock trial.
There you go.
You don't have to choose
I
it,
actually
Mason.
encouraged Aparna and Aditi to join because I had met them through mock trial. And I encouraged them to join moot court because I thought the skills are pretty transferable between the clubs. So and they really did flourish this year. So.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I will share that I did not know what moot court or mock trial were until I got to law school. And when I was kind of informed of what they were, I specifically ducked moot court tryouts because I felt like that's where all the smartest kids were going to go. and just thought I'd fly under the radar and do mock trial. And I found that now that I'm in practice, I actually enjoy the appellate setting of argument more. I feel like you get a chance to sort of, as Mr. Steele alluded to, get your argument out there. You have the record kind of crystallized before you, and you're not necessarily worried about forming the record and getting the testimony and stuff. They're definitely both exciting and fun in their own ways, but when you're in front of that appellate bench, it's something that it seems like you have a little more chance to speak to the law and the higher ideals of the legal system than when you're objecting to evidentiary exhibits and things like that. So I'm very impressed that you're doing both, and that you like Mr. Steele said, you will have a huge leg up on your peers when they get to college or law school. So congratulations.
And I think we made news tonight. So Charles, you were not on a competitive moot court team?
I was on the mock trial. It was moot court trial team. So
because I was just going to say.
You were the smart kids I was running from. Yeah.
We went to different schools. I will give you that.
Two new coaches.
We'll come help prep.
Let me ask you, what other things do you enjoy doing in your life? I mean, I can see that you have a passion for the law, and you are thinking in the future regarding how the law will impact you. But what are some other things that you like to do with your time, and maybe how that plays into your prep for becoming an attorney?
I was actually part of Mason's choir program all throughout high school. I really enjoy singing. It's just something that I've been doing since I was a kid. And part of choir is performance, right? How you present yourself on stage, how you appear to the audience. That directly ties into being an attorney for moot court and mock trial. I mean, the biggest thing I've learned is keeping people engaged. That's the biggest way to hold people's attention and to make them interested about what you're saying. So that definitely helped. I mean, they're obviously in topic, they're not really related, but the skills are pretty transferable, I'd say.
Well, Aaron, I can tell you are very comfortable in front of the microphone. Was that something, did you build up to that, or do you feel like you've always kind of just been good at public speaking and presenting to a crowd?
No, I definitely had to build up to that. As I grew through the program in moot court and mock trial, I was definitely started off, pretty nervous to speak in front of a bunch of people. But talking right now is kind of like how it was at the final round. It was actually worse at the final round. I was pretty nervous because there were not two, there were literally 5 lawyers sitting in front of me.
We're not as hot a bench as you had in that.
But yeah, no, it's just trusting your instinct and just, like I said, keeping people engaged, making sure that they're they want to listen to what you're saying. So I think just growing over the past few years, I think that's something I had to build up, but I think it's definitely a really helpful skill.
Yeah, you present very well.
You would know.
Yes.
Experience.
Yes. Husband is a municipal judge, so
Judge
a lot of law up here. But so really close last year to the final round. You break through. What's the appellate issue? What was that issue? What did you have to argue? And how do you know that beforehand? And how did you prepare?
Yeah, so we get the case about a couple of months before we actually go to compete at the State House. So this year was about felonious assault, whether or not the defendant was approached by a group of friends and he actually threw a knife and it ended up hitting an innocent bystander. So the question was whether or not he could be charged with a felony in the state and whether or not he acted in self-defense. So it was the same case throughout the whole competition. It's just what we didn't know was what side we were going to argue. We got out of the semifinal round. They told us that we were moving on, and they called up a representative from each school to decide what side was going to be flipped. They did a virtual coin toss, and then we figured out I was arguing for the state, and we had about 5 minutes after they flipped the coin to start the round. So it was pretty intense. I really had to gear up and just sort of focus on what I was saying. So it was definitely pretty nerve-wracking then. So.
And how many? Give us context of scope. How many schools from around the state are we talking about participating?
I want to say 16. I would say, give or take a few.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who were the last two standing?
So it was Mason, and then it was St. Ignatius High School.
Over Cleveland.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. We are so grateful that you guys represented Mason City Schools in the way that you have, and you graduated. We got to find out where to check you out, where you're going to do the undergrad before law school.
I'm heading down to Texas. I'm going to UT Austin, and I'm going to be studying government there too on a pre-law track.
Awesome. Well, congrats.
Real quick, Aaron, one of the things that we love to talk about and celebrate is the legacy building, and what you shared about building the team is right there, square in what we love to see. You're building legacy, you and the upperclassmen who've gone before you into this team, and you can see the progression of the success that you've had. But you got to feel really proud about the legacy that you're leaving, both winning state champions, but also building up the team in that way. So congratulations to you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. If you guys could come down, and we have a present, and we'll take a picture.
Do we have any of our moot court parents in the crowd tonight? Show of hands. Any family attorneys in the crowd? No? Well, I can only imagine what the dinner time conversation is like for you all with these folks, but congratulations to you all too. It shows the commitment and the dedication that you foster at home for the students up here.
All right, for our next celebration, and then after this celebration, we'll take a pause for those that want to get on with their evenings. But before we send anybody on their way, we would like to celebrate our Science Olympiad 2025 state champion. So I'd like to invite Mr. Seiler up to the podium to introduce your captains. Let's give them a hand. Congratulations.
All right, thanks everybody. So as you'll probably know, we're not a speaking focused team, so I'll try to do my best. So if you don't know Science Olympiad, I like to compare it a little bit to like a track and field, because it's really composed of 23 different events every year, and all the events have individual partnerships that work on them. It goes all the way from astronomy to anatomy to different engineering events, kind of construction events where you're actually building things. But then all of the scores come together, right? And so that's how you can win a championship as a whole team. So this year, you'll know we won the championship at the state tournament, but really our whole season every year is focused on the national tournament. So past couple of years we've had, since I think 2018, we've been able to take the teams into the national tournament, and this year we were able to take third place in the national tournament. So another great achievement. We have a much better picture from nationals, which is what you guys saw up there. So I'll also bring down one of our captains from this year, Anish, if you want to also talk to some stuff. We have a really big club. So this is just what I would call our varsity team here that we take to our state and national tournaments. But we have about 116, 118 people that do Science Olympiad at the high school level every year. We also have teams for the middle school, and then we just started a team for the intermediate school this year as well. So I really like to kind of build up that bench, not a judge's bench, but a bench more like a sports team, where we'd actually be focused on saying, how do we build up these skills and this interest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics from a really young age. So they get really well prepared and have good preparation. So Anish, you could say anything, and then we'll take some questions.
So yeah, my name's Anish Iyer. I just graduated from Mason High School. I've been doing Science Olympiad for the last 6 years, so as you mentioned, our intermediate team was just newly formed, but I was able to compete on our middle school team for 2 years in 7th and 8th grade, and then I continued to compete on our high school team for the last 4 years. So a lot of stuff has gone into building up to our state championship this season and getting third place at nationals. So our season starts very early. I'm sure there's our 4 captains for next year who've probably been starting on a lot of work for our next season already. But some things we do is like in the fall we'll have like some like preparations where we'll have our senior members of our team can teach some of the topics to our newer members. We have like event leaders. So like Science Olympiad is composed of those 23 events that cover all these different topics in science. So we have different appointed event leaders on our team that try and teach those topics to other students at our school, like the 118 members in our club, to try and help them get better and more used to the events. So then each year in September, we have a new rules manual that releases, and that manual depicts all of the constraints that each event has. So like astronomy, whether the topic's on like exoplanets or stellar formation, or for events that rotate, there's different events such as water quality or code busters and things like that, where there's different like things that happen each year and ways they change them. Beyond that, there's also these build events where we have to construct devices. So those constructions also begin in the fall, where our builders will be working on perfecting their devices to get the most accurate like measurements and targets that they can. So some of the events that we have are air trajectory, where we build it's about like a trebuchet, except it's powered by air, where we try and launch a ping pong ball to hit a target that's within like 2 to 8 meters away. We have bungee drop, where we have an elastic cord and we're given a random mass, random weight, and random height to try and drop the cord and get it as close to the ground as possible without touching. We have electric vehicle, which is, as it sounds, a car that's like electric, and we have to try and drive it as straight as possible to hit a target that's anywhere between 7 and 10 meters away. And then there's like robot tour, where we have to build a robot that has to navigate through a different maze. So the way that our team score is comprised is that all the scores from those 23 events are combined together. So we're all working together to try and get the lowest team score to help our school do the best that we can. So this year at the state tournament, we had a very successful showing. So for the most part at our state tournament, it's a battle of like 2 major titans. We have us, and then we have Solon High School up in Cleveland. For the last couple of years, we've kind of been a bit bested by Solon. They are a very strong team. They've also consistently gotten within the top 5 nationally. But this year, we were able to obtain 10 gold medals out of the 23 events at the state tournament, as well as medaling in 22 out of the 23 events. So that was really nice. And then that's also for all of them too. So, and then just to put that into perspective, us and Solon, we each competed in 23 events. In total, we medaled in 43 out of the 46 events. So it was a pretty dominating performance by the both of us. And then obviously, we took that on to go to the national tournament, where we were able to place 3rd among all the teams in the nation. And at that national tournament, we were able to have 8 events that finished within the top 6, which earned national medals, as you can see in the picture over there. And then we had we had 11 total events which finished in the top 10 nationally, with 2 events earning the national champion title. So. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are there perennial, competitive schools at the national level? Are there schools you tend to see out there too that you're kind of jostling back and forth with, like we would with Solon here in Ohio?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And then we also travel to competitions. One of the competitions we go to each year is at MIT, and at that competition we see a lot of these nationally competitive teams. So we have the opportunity to travel to like campuses like MIT, UMich, Ohio State, and then we have our regional tournament down in Xavier. And then we travel to like Solon High School. That's one of the biggest national tournaments as well. So we're able to see these teams. And luckily, based on the work that some of our predecessors and we've done over the last couple of years, we're also known as one of those national powerhouses that people are pretty afraid of.
Can you name some names? Like, what are these other schools nationally?
Some of the, I don't know if you know.
It's a safe space. It's not public.
Yeah.
We won't tell anybody. We won't.
Okay.
Attention to the camera.
I mean,
Just kidding.
Yeah.
But I do want to know.
You're fine.
I mean, I don't know. Some of them in close states, like in Michigan, it's like Ann Arbor Pioneer. Some in Indiana's Carmel High School. They're a very big school. In Pennsylvania, there's like Harriton High School. They got 2nd this year. And then there's a couple others.
Troy High School in California.
Mm.
They're actually a magnet high school.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
They have a little bit of advantage over us because they can pull talent from
That's right.
basically.
Yeah.
So can you I know you mentioned it's kind of like track and field. There's different events. Can you speak to like are there events that we're historically strong in? Are there events where we overperformed our expectations? Like what are some of the more dramatic storylines coming out of Science Olympiad this year? Do your best Dan Hicks, Rowdy Gaines, NBC Sports kind of recap for us.
Yeah. So one event I'd like to mention, it's air trajectory. So at the MIT competition this year, we had a bit of an issue, which is where we had to fly this year. So the thing is, all these builds are pretty big devices, and we had to try and get them into the plane. And as a result, our air trajectory kind of had some issues that resulted in it getting a 57th place, I think, which is not the greatest. But then after some very hard work by Alice, you can stand up, and Annie's also her partner, they were able to get first place at the national tournament this year.
Wow.
So definitely a comeback. Yeah.
I'll tell you about another one of the events because this is Anisha's event, so he probably didn't want to talk about it. But one of the events is optics. So a lot of the event for optics is a test, right, where you test on your academic knowledge about optics, lenses, how light works. But there's also a section of it that's called laser shoot, and basically you have, I think it's 4 minutes to set up all these mirrors in this really intricate pattern with different templates and different layouts, and you're measuring angles and everything in order to get the laser beam to bounce exactly around the box and hit a target exactly. And so you guys also for the national tournament were able to take first place overall.
Wow.
What do you plan to do with your future, and where are you going to be next year?
So next year, I'll be a freshman at the Georgia Institute of Technology in Atlanta, and I'll be studying electrical engineering.
Nice.
So I think a lot of the work that I've done in Science Olympiad has been relating to that field, and I think that without Science Olympiad, it's really allowed me to find like this passion of mine and really driven me to major in electrical engineering, and hopefully continue that in my future.
That's amazing. I am so grateful for what we have tried to put in place or help put in place. Our students who will be brave enough to take on these challenges and get their toes in the water a little bit on a variety of subjects, and then you find what you like, you find what you want to do for the rest of your life. I think that's really, really cool, and I love that our students are brave enough to do that.
I have a question. You said there were, 26 categories?
Yeah,
Is that
23
right?
events, yeah.
23 events. So do you have, you have a lot on your team, obviously, over 100 participate on the team. So when you get the events, does it just go, you assign it to the person who obviously excels in that specific area?
Yeah, so one of the harder things about Science Olympiad is that actually we have 23 events, but for the national tournament, we're only allowed to take an official team of 15 members. So everybody on our team is doing multiple events, and all these events also have partnerships. So we actually have 48 event slots that we needed to fill up with 15 people. So it's a lot of work to you don't just focus on one event in some other clubs, but we all have to be we have to be managing our time to focus on multiple different events and make sure that we're excelling in not just one, but all of them. Okay. And I think our team's done a very good job at being very good at managing their time and being very good at all their events. So
that's great. So you got exposure to a lot of different areas where you landed on electrical engineering, right? So that was exposure though to many, many things.
Yeah. So for me, example, I've done events that involve cryptography, and then I've also done the bungee drop event, which is one of the build ones, and then I did optics, which is about photonics and other optical physics. So yeah, it's definitely a very wide range of stuff that we're able to explore, and since we all have to do multiple events, most people are dipping their toes in multiple different categories.
That's really cool. That sounds like fun.
One of the things that I'll mention too, so professionally I'm actually an engineering manager. So I work with a lot of different professional engineers coming out of school, a lot from University of Cincinnati, other universities, and I really think that Science Olympiad prepares them really well for professional industry because they are not just learning the academics and the content, they're actually really learning the collaboration, the teamwork, the problem-solving skills, and kind of the responsibility on how to say, hey, I've never looked at this before, and I've never seen this kind of problem, but they can figure it out, right? That's a lot of what we try to coach to them. And I'm also really appreciative of what they learn, just in their science classes, right? Because they come to me even at the intermediate school level, they come to me very prepared and very interested in science, right? So I'll thank you guys all for that too.
Do we have parents of Science Olympians in here tonight? By show of hands, and keep your hands up if you professionally are either a scientist or engineer or art research and development. So I think we would all commend commend you for living out a vocation in a way that has obviously taken root with your children. It has to be one of the most fulfilling things to see them be interested in the same thing that you do for a living, and to have the passion and the discipline to compete and represent our district at the highest of levels in the nation. So kudos to you, and thank you for sharing your family's talents with us.
So Mr. Galvin sort of stole my question, which would be your science origin story, but we figured out that, a lot of your parents are scientists and chemists and physicists. So how are you going to take all of this work that you guys have done and are doing? We've had other students who do science-related activities, and they've won awards for, devices that clean water or devices that detect lead in the, all these things. Are there projects that you're doing or that you're collaborating with your teammates on that are passion projects that have nothing to do per se with Science Olympiad, that you're just super interested in solving, questions that you want answered?
I have one personal example. It's me and another member of our team. We competed in an international math competition, the M3 challenge this year. And so the topic for that challenge actually was we were given like a problem statement and 14 hours to solve it. And it was about like material science and heat transfer equations. And so one of the events in Science Olympiad this year was actually called material science. And one of the members of our team who was for that math challenge did that event. So we were able to use these skills from Science Olympiad to solve that challenge. And then I don't know if you've heard, but we ended up winning the challenge and won $20,000 for that. So definitely very applicable.
That'll buy a lot of lasers.
Or one really big laser.
Or one really big laser.
And then one thing I really appreciate about Science Olympiad compared to some of those other projects that students are doing is that it also teaches you about the collaboration and working with a team. Whereas a lot of some of these other projects that people are doing very individual, Science Olympiad requires you to have good communication skills and not just worry about yourself and how you're doing, but also working with your team and supporting other members and the collaboration in that aspect.
Anish, I'm struck by two things: your passion for science, and you haven't stopped smiling since you've talked about it. And I just can imagine how contagious that is in a space with 100 of your peers, and how passionate you are about this subject. So thank you for your passion and your leadership. I'm looking at the dates of graduation. It looks like we have a lot of underclassmen that will be back. So to achieve at this level and, third in the nation is just unbelievable. It takes students and people like you to have this passion to make it contagious and make it continue. So you've done this for 6 years. As Mr. Steele said, you've left a legacy, and so we can't thank you enough. But well done, team. Well done, Anish. Thank you guys very much. We'll try to do this in an interesting manner. I guess come down here, handshake, and a gift.
An engineer to figure out.
Yes.
the most efficient way to do this.
Some engineering.
I'll put these down here.
These pictures in every competition, they sometimes go really well. You saw our national one.
You're the tip of the spear.
Nobody used it. Nobody told us. They were taking pictures of them.
So we also use them to make you all walk by and
Oh, yeah. We would make these for them.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Yes.
Yeah, why you guys nobody? Okay, we're gonna need probably 4 rows, I think. So we can do one up front here and then one here.
job sharing. Thank you. It would be during hearing in the public, which is
Like a hearing test. Yes, but it is.
if you need to. Do you want me to just not do it?
So we tip.
Before we do our normal dismissal,
yeah,
I wanted to say, I think while everybody's still here, we recognize a lot of our sports teams and other, competition winners when we have, but it feels like tonight we're acknowledging passions, at the highest level, and I think it speaks to the opportunities that we are able to support in the district, and it's fitting that it's, our first meeting after graduation that we're like seeing all of these ways that students are going to go out into the world, whether it's in the trades, it's in the courts, it's in science and other pursuits that we see just boundless possibilities for them to contribute and find professions that they're going to excel in.
It is an intentional effort on the part of this school district, led by Dr. Cooper, Dr. Brennan, and the executive team, that you guys have these opportunities. I mean, to be able to travel to MIT, I'm sure a bunch of you want to go to MIT. So to be able to be there in a competitive space and to go to different Ohio State to argue, that's a heck of a law school. I mean, there might even be a school board member that graduated from that law school. I don't know. But that you have those opportunities is really important to us, because you can leave here and know with some reasonable certainty the path you want to take in life, and that means something for all of us. So thank you guys for representing the Comet family well. Once a comment, always a comment. Please come back and share your stories, your journeys, and your talents back with your high school. Okay? Promise? Okay. All right. So before we dismiss, I'll do a little
Executive privilege
little
here.
Executive privilege, and we'll move to item number 6, which is hearing of the public. And it looks like we have 2 people who signed up for hearing of the public. Tracy?
Yes, we had 2, and we're a little out of order, we realized, but we
Yes.
got this unorthodox thing. They wanted to speak about the presentations we just
100%. So we will make that executive decision, and I will ask Mr. Frank Luo to come to the podium.
Well, actually, thank you for the arrangement. That I'm just one of the Science Olympiad team parents, and just not tell you what the story that I have. I have 3 kids, and all 3 of them actually were a member of a Science Olympiad team, and then I have a youngest one here. So my family has benefited a lot from the Science Olympiad team and Science Olympiad. The activity that Mason City School has provided to our kids. So I thank you for your work, and thank you for school superintendent and principal and then teachers, all this wonderful work. And I think the coach, we have several coach here, that Steven Seiler. We have also middle school volunteering coach over there. And then they have done a lot of great job. And then actually they started the earlier Science Olympiad team from earlier age now. And this will benefit Mason City School as well. And Mason has a name nationally right now. It's because of this wonderful job that you guys and then the school, teachers, staff, and student has done. And thank you very much. Keep doing the good work. And on the other hand, that maybe that if there is a need for more support for the team, not only for the Science Olympiad, a lot of academic team, and in terms of funding, staff, and then any logistic things, I think it's a great thing to continue support for them. And that's all I want to say, all right? Thank you very much for this.
Thank you.
And then also we have Yan Jiang. Thank you.
Hey everyone, so I'm a parent too. So I have 2 kids in Mason. One is 6-year-old and one is the 6th grade and one is 10th grade, so both in Science Olympia. So I'm a parent of Science Olympia, and I'm also a volunteer coach for the middle school. So first of all, I would like to thank the board of Mason and the school system to support Science Olympia team, and I can assure you that it benefits the kids and it benefits the district, because if you go to the nationals, if you mention you are from Mason, they say, wow, you're from Mason, so it's renowned. So your effort is really paid off. So I would like also to thank you, our Mr. Seller, who is persistently supporting the Science Olympia, who is the lead of all this team. He did a great work and spent a lot of time. He's really a great person. Like all of my parents are really grateful for him too. Without him, I think the team is hard to be continuous. And in terms of the legacy, I think our team is different from the Solon. So you know our rivalry is Solon. So Solon is we are very similar, but we are operating in different systems. Their parents are very involved, so they have like coaches for each of the event, 23 events, but we don't. But what our legacy is, our seniors, they are supervising middle school and intermediate school, so they did a great job. So they are teaching their sisters and brothers, and they did a great job too. So for our national team for the high school, they beat to the national top 3 and then state champion. But our middle school also not bad, you know, so we are the 4th place in state. Unfortunately, we didn't go to the national this year, but our goal is next year. So last year we went to nationals and we have been there for 2 years. So I think with the legacy of their brothers and sisters to keep teaching them, I think we'll make it again. So thank you again for all your support and continue to support us. Thanks.
Thank you.
We definitely wouldn't have these opportunities if not for our parents and community members. So we definitely thank all of you for supporting not only the school district, but your students with their time and cultivating their talents. I'm going to pause now to allow you to leave. However, I will plug that the next segment is deeply impactful for the future of Mason City Schools. So if you'd like to stay and hear what Dr. Cooper and Mr. Bevan are going to talk about, there are some potential changes on the horizon that could impact us. So that's just a tease. If you have to go and have other places to be, we totally understand. Or you can stay and hear this wonderful presentation. But either way, thank you guys so much.
Be sure to catch it on the video.
Right.
My back's been giving me fits.
It was fine. I mean, it wasn't mine, but it was like functional, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh.
Tracy, just to confirm, no additional
There were no additional.
hearing from the public. Awesome. As you can see, my ability to do a thrilling trailer for what is our next items, it's leaving a little something to be desired. But we will move past item 6 and move to item 7, resolutions. Do I have a motion? You're going to do the presentation
Yes.
first before we do it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Before we do item 7, we are going to have a presentation from our superintendent and treasurer regarding potential changes to funding in the state. So, Dr. Cooper, Mr. Bevan, floor is yours.
President Orr. We will be talking about this throughout the rest of the evening in various ways. We thought it'd be good to frame everything up front here in the presentation. Sean Bevan, our treasurer, is going to go through various slides to just build the context for what's going on at the state level. But It's so important. So here's just to give you a quick introduction to this. So we have been working diligently at the state level, advocating on behalf of Mason City Schools to continue to protect the things that we celebrated tonight. And that is the taxpayers voted in levy monies that comes through property taxes, so that we can continue to provide what we think is the best educational experiences anywhere on earth. And we want this to be a global destination district for all students, whether you're doing amazing things in class or in XLP or in moot court or anything you heard tonight in Science Olympiad and so on and so forth. So we've worked with our legislators. We have seen our community rally around the call to action, and we have also seen that make an impact with our local legislators. So we talk constantly with Senator Wilson, with Representative Matthews, and I sit on multiple committees, legislative committees at the state level, who do listen, just as you heard the parent tonight say, when you show up and you say you're with Mason City Schools, we get a very similar response at the state level, because we're well respected as a school of excellence, and one that works really diligently to be fiscally responsible, delivering excellent education for a price point that is lower than the state average on many fronts. And so to be able to do that, it takes a Board of Education over decades to set us up for success, and leaders to do that. So as Sean walks you through some of the things that are happening at the state level, he's going to unpack a little bit of House Bill 96, which is the budget bill that will be voted on in the next several days by the end of this month, and we'll find out where that lands. So he'll unpack that, and then also we'll talk a little bit about a new bill that was put forth just a week and a half ago that could have devastating impacts to school districts around the state, especially here in Mason City Schools. And so we'll tell you a little bit about what that is and how we have been advocating on behalf of our school district and our local community to make sure they hear what we need. So Sean, want to walk us through that?
Thank you, Jonathan. So if you've watched our board meetings or been to our board meetings over the last few months, we've been talking about House Bill 96 quite a bit. But before we get into some of those details, just a couple summary slides. So this was a couple pie charts up here on the left-hand side, shows where the dollars come from for our district. So the biggest chunk of our revenues really comes from our local community. So Jonathan kind of alluded to, back in 2020, we had a community supported our property tax levy as one example of that, and that is the local property taxes are our biggest source of revenue. State revenue is our second biggest source. So the two things we're going to talk about tonight really fall into those categories of things that could impact both of those sections. On the right-hand side, where our money goes, about 84%-ish spent on people. We are a people business, and so just as a high-level view, about $140 million operating budget. In terms of where those dollars go, the state breaks down the different categories, and you can kind of see them up here, instructional being the biggest category. We do spend below state average, so we're about $1,600 per student below the state average. So one of the things we do work hard at here in the district with our fiscal stewardship foundational rock, we want to make sure that we are providing a high value and great quality service for our students and families, and we believe that we're doing that. So in terms of the budget, so House Bill 96 is the budget bill that's been working its way through the process over the last few months. The way this works is that back in February, there's a biennium budget that gets started. The governor puts out his proposal. From there, it goes to the House. The House works through various pieces of the process, and they come up with their proposal. Then it goes to the Senate. Then it goes to conference committee. And then finally, the governor signs it into law by July 1st. So there's a several-month sausage-making process that we go through, that our state goes through. And one of the things, as Jonathan also mentioned, we've appreciated the advocacy of our community. There's been, we've heard from we're in regular contact with our representatives, letting them know how things might impact our district and our community, and making sure that we're advocating for our families and for our students and for our homeowners. We've also asked over the last few months for people in the community to reach out to some of our representatives, and we have heard from both from our community members that they're doing that. We've also heard from our representatives that they have heard from our people in our area, and take that one step further and just say thank you to everybody who has reached out, and thank you to those who have reached out in a just in an educational and a respectful way. That's another thing that we have heard from our representatives, that they really appreciate the way that our people have reached out. So thank you for that. It does make a difference. I mentioned a minute ago that there was various stages of the process, so we'll take a kind of a summary look at each of those phases of where the bill, House Bill 96, has been in terms of funding over the last few months. So this was the first stage of the process, the governor's proposal. Look at the second column to the left. Our current fiscal year is fiscal year 25. And you can see this is kind of our baseline number of $36.2 million of state funding that we're receiving this year. And so the governor's proposal was the first one. You can see the next column over. His proposal was that we would receive almost a $700,000 reduction in state funding for next year, and go beyond that to fiscal year 27, about an additional $900,000 reduction in fiscal year 27. So over the full implementation of the biennium would be a little bit over $2 million reduction, was about 3% in our state funding. So that was kind of where the governor was at with his proposal. If you go to the next step in the process, similar chart here. The House version, so the House version was a little bit different. Actually, in fiscal year 26, you can see in the middle there, our projected increase for state funding for Mason schools was about $451,000 for next year. And then the year after that, going up about another $170,000, so a total increase of a little bit over $1 million per year. That's about just shy of 1.5% in terms of state funding. You'll notice on the very bottom line, though, the House version introduced a new concept. And so what we've been talking about above this was just our state funding numbers. This very bottom line there, the cash reserve cap, was a significant factor that's still in play. We're not sure where it's going to land yet, but still in play. And that is this idea of a cash reserve cap. And so you'll see that the House introduced a cap of 30%. So basically what they're saying is that any school district, if you look at your operating fund, you're not allowed to have cash in excess of 30% of your total budget. And so we'll talk more in a little bit here about why that's important. But just the long and short of it is that if that 30% cap was to be enacted tomorrow or July 1st, when the budget bill takes effect, that would be an impact of $24 million for our school district. And so that's a very significant, on a $140 million budget, $24 million is very significant. So going on to the Senate version, in fiscal year 26, the Senate version actually was better for us in a couple different ways. The state funding number actually went up, so $2.1 million of new state funding for next year, additional $800,000 beyond that for the fiscal year 27. That's about a $5 million total increase over the biennium, about a 7% increase in state funding. So the Senate version in terms of state funding was the best in terms of its impact on Mason. And then also, if you look at the very bottom line there, the cash reserve cap for the Senate was 50%. So instead of 30% from the House, it was actually a 50% number. And so that's actually very beneficial for us as a school district. Our current cash reserves is set about 44%. And so 50% would not have an impact on our cash reserve number. So just to summarize the impacts on our cash reserve, the House version, a 30% cap, that would require us to reduce our general operating fund reserves by $24 million. The Senate version, 50% cap, no impact estimated on our cash reserves. So one of the reasons there's various reasons that's important, but one of the things that we do note for tonight is that later in the agenda, as part of our financial reports, we do have some year-end transfers and advances that we approve, and we do have an agenda item on here to potentially to authorize a transfer of funds if we need to. So this cap that we're talking about applies to our general operating fund. So that's where our day-to-day operations are funded. So lights, people, salaries, benefits, bus fuel, classroom supplies, all those things come from our general operating fund. So when we step back and look at just our general risk management perspective, and so that risk management could impact insurances, it could impact data protection, it could impact finances. And so when we think about risk protection, risk management, we want to make sure that we're doing what's best for our students and our families and our community. And so we do have, as part of that focus, we do have a approval to authorize a transfer up to $24 million out of our general fund over to a capital improvement fund. And so the immediate impact of that is just a reduction in the cash reserves we have in our general fund. So basically what that does was that would potentially restrict those dollars. So we may not necessarily lose those dollars, but they now become restricted. And so almost 85% of our budget, as you saw a minute ago, is people. And so transferring those dollars over to the capital fund means that we're not losing them, but it does mean that we are restricted in our ability to use those dollars. So again, 85% is people. We would not have the ability to use those dollars to recruit and retain staff, to pay competitive wages. So it kind of hinders our ability to do the things that are essential to our operations.
Sean, can you just a point of clarification on how the cap works mechanically? So if you have more than, under the House version, if you are sitting on more than 30% of the prior year's budget, that means then that you cannot collect on the levy that you have in place, that your community has voted for and supported the district, right? So can you explain kind of what happens if you
thank you.
cap?
So if we did not take any action at all, if those dollars were sitting in the general fund, then the state would come in and look at that and say, okay, you've got X percent, in our case is 14% above the 30% cap that you're allowed to have. And so basically they're going to say, okay, we're going to reduce your millage that the community effectively approved in various levies over the last 20, 30 years. We're going to reduce that vote from the community and say we're going to take that money away from you so that you can get down underneath the 30% cap that the state would require.
And we already have something that already adjusts our millage, House Bill 920. So as your property values are assessed and they rise, we are not on the, you can talk about the 20 mil floor and how we're not there. And so our millage is already reduced because of House Bill 920, but I'll leave that to you for the details.
Yeah, that's a good point, thanks. So House Bill 920 is something that was enacted in 1976. The idea of House Bill 920 was basically to avoid any kind of unvoted tax increases on property taxes. And so over time, house values go up. We've seen that front and center here over the last couple of years as the market has really shifted and property values have risen. So the idea there is that as property values go up, the tax rate actually goes down. So this is unique to property taxes. That's not the case, obviously, in an income tax or a sales tax. If the price of a chair goes up by 20%, then the sales tax that's paid on that chair is also going to go up. But that's different for property tax, and so that's the House Bill 920 that you're referring to, and so that is in play in our district. And so we had about a 28% average increase in our home values over the last couple of years for tax purposes, but that because of House Bill 920, that total amount dropped, and so we ended up with about a 5% increase in our property taxes from a homeowner's perspective. So that's already in place to kind of protect homeowners so that they're not having those big increases. But this would go outside of that and outside of what people have voted for.
And we're seeing that because there are districts that don't have, they're at 20 mils on the floor outside millage. And so they do see those increases. Those districts do see those dollars. And so as those property values rise, because there's no additional millage, the state legislature requires that you have at least 20 mils outside, that once those property taxes are assessed and they go up, so does the revenue they collect. And that has, what percentage of districts are on the 20 mil floor?
About 2/3 of the schools in Ohio are on the 20 mil floor right now. So yeah, that's a great point. That so really over time, again, as home values go up, the tax rate is going to go down because of House Bill 920, but it can only go down to a certain number, and that's what we call the 20 mil floor. So once a district hits that 20 mil floor, the tax rate can't go down any farther. So then if you're at that 20 mil floor, which 2/3 of the schools in Ohio are at the floor, then as property values go up, then homeowners are going to see an increase. If there's a 30% increase in value in their community, they're going to see a 30% increase in their property tax bills. And so really, and that has been a significant factor is one of the big things that's driving some of the legislation that we're seeing across the state. That is not in play in our community. We are not at the 20 mil floor. House Bill 920 is working in our community, but that is a different factor in other communities. And so definitely on the minds of legislators across the state. So in terms of where it's at right now, so I mentioned it went from the governor to the House to the Senate to conference committee. So what conference committee is basically you've got various forms of the budget out there. And so somehow they got to come up with a final version that they're going to enact July 1st and send to the governor for approval and begin July 1st. And so that's kind of the job of conference committee, is to come up with some kind of version where they don't necessarily have to pick one of the three. They can pick various things from each of those versions and come up with a final version. And so really, we're kind of in a wait and see approach right now. We'll obviously continue to reach out to our legislators to make sure they know that how things might impact our district. But its conference committee met for the first time today. And so there's representation from both the House and Senate and the governor's office in that group. We anticipate they'll be done with their work probably in the next week or so. And then eventually they'll send it to the governor for his approval before June 30th.
So before we get to House Bill 335, can you just give us an idea of, having, if the cap lands at 30%, what that does for our levy cycle, what it does moving forward with regard to revenue?
Yep. So thank you. So the last thing I was going to mention on this before we got to House Bill 335 was for the average person out there watching this saying, why do you need 30%? Why do you need 50%? Why would you need more or less? What is the right number to have? And so there are varying opinions out there, but the reason that there's a few reasons that school districts utilize this cash reserve number that we have. And so as a district for us here in Mason, really over the last 25 years, we have never been above 50%. We've been in the 40s a couple times, but we've never reached above that number. There's a couple reasons that it's really important to be able to have those cash reserves. One is that I would say this board, previous boards, one of the things that this district has done well for a long time is long-term strategic planning. And so having financial stability, having a fiscal stewardship rock and a foundational base is really something that is key in allowing the district to long-term plan. And so that's a significant factor. Another factor is that when you talk about House Bill 920 and levy cycles, it is true that when a community supports a school district like ours with a new levy, like they did in 2020, then the community is going to approve a certain dollar amount. As a whole community, they're going to generate X dollars with this levy, say it's $20 million. So then over time, as property values go up, the idea is that levy is going to collect $20 million in 2020. It's going to collect the same $20 million in 22, 2025. No matter what property values do, that levy is going to continue to generate $20 million. And so, but the problem with that is that over time, even though our revenues from that particular levy are not going up, our expenses do continue to go up. And so we're paying competitive wages in the market. Insurance costs are going up, bus fuel is going up, all those things are increasing in cost. And so over time, that kind of erodes the value of the last particular levy. And so what that means is that there's another levy that's got to come at some point in the future. And so you're always on this levy cycle where revenues are relatively flat and expenses are growing. And so that cash reserve allows a district to kind of stay financially stable over time until that next levy is passed. And so those are very key factors. That's kind of the way that the state set up the system. Is it a system that we all love? Some people love it, maybe some people don't, but it is the reality of the system that we have in place. And so that cash reserve is really important for us to, as a school district, to be able to navigate that in a financially healthy way, in a way that's fruitful for our community, and it's not, we're not caught with surprises, and we're not devastating educational impacts, around the district. And so those are a couple of the key reasons why it's important. And to limit that cap would really change the financial structure of the way that we operated. And so historically, over the last 20 years, we've been on this levy cycle that our goal is to stretch that as long as possible. And so there was a levy passed in 2005. The next levy was passed in 2020. 15 years is a long time, longer than normal. But I will say that our goal was always to stretch those as long as possible. In 2020, we said it would last at least 5 years. So here we are. We made it our full 5 years. We're still stretching that out into the future. And so that levy cycle, again, is something that we're trying to stretch as long as possible because we don't want to keep coming back to our communities asking for more dollars. And so, but if we were limited on the cash reserves that we were able to carry, instead of being able to have a levy that's maybe 5 or 10 years apart, we might be looking at a levy that's every 2 or 3 years. And so that would dramatically change the way that we would operate as a school district, and it would also dramatically change the way that our communities would operate in their own homes and how they fund their school district. So the next piece of legislation that's out there right now is House Bill 335. So House Bill 96 started its process back in February, and there's been lots of hearings and all kinds of things going on through this process. House Bill 335 is a financially significant bill, but it has only been out for less than 2 weeks. And so this is one that is really something we're watching very closely. We're also making known to our legislators and representatives the potential impact of this one on us as well. And so what House Bill 330, there's actually various things that House Bill 335 does. Some of them impact us here in Mason School, or would impact us here in Mason Schools, and some of them would not. The one that's most impactful is this idea of eliminating inside millage or non-voted millage. And so actually in Ohio, there's a couple different governmental entities types that benefit from inside millage. And so you can see up here, we've got school districts, municipalities, and counties are the ones that would be most directly impacted by House Bill 335. So what are inside mills? The Ohio Constitution actually enables or allows governmental entities in each community to collect up to split up to 10 mills. And so again, those are split between the county, the city, the township, a village if there is one, and a school district. And so every community is a little bit different on how those things are split, but those are 10 inside mills and they stay the same. They are not subject to the House Bill 920 that we were talking about earlier. So how are the inside mills split in our community? So you can see up here, of the 10 inside mills that we have in our community, we have about, we have 5.11 inside mills, 4.68 of those are in the general operating fund, 0.43 of those mills are in the PI fund or capital improvement fund. And so those 5.11 mills, in terms of what percentage that is of our total millage, that's about 17% of our total effective millage that we have in place right now. The county, you can see, has 2.57 mills, City of Mason 2.32, and Deerfield Township has the same. See the note up here, townships are actually exempt from House Bill 335, so they would not be impacted if it went all the way through and were enacted the way it is right now. So what's the dollar value of those mills?
Because what they're proposing is to eliminate the millage. I don't know if we've said
Thank
that.
you. So what they're proposing is that they would get rid of this inside millage. And so that would obviously have a very significant impact. And so over time, for the last 40, 50 years, probably even longer, this idea of inside mills has been, the idea is that it's been protected because it's part of the Ohio Constitution. So now the claim that they're making is that the Constitution actually says, and instead of saying every community gets 10 inside mills, they're saying you can have up to 10 inside mills. And so they're just going to say, well, we're going to eliminate it for everybody but townships. And so if you watch the press conference from the sponsor of the bill, they would say, okay, well, if you ask them, well, how's Mason School supposed to replace 17 million, and how's Warren County supposed to replace 32 million? Because the county, so obviously we know what we do as a school district. The county is going to fund court systems and public safety and security and all those things. So how do you fund those services? Same with the City of Mason. They would say, well, if you're going to get rid of a property tax, then you should enact a sales tax or an income tax. And so that what would be a very new concept for our community, for our school district. But these are significant amounts of money that would impact our schools. $17.2 million is about 11% of our total operating revenues. So again, a significant factor. So, summary of the potential impacts on the governor's version of the bill. If the conference committee elected that version, be about a little over $2 million per year loss. The House version would actually increase our state funding, but it would enact a cap, so that would be a one-time loss or a restriction of $24 million that we have that would no longer be available for operations. The Senate version would actually increase our state funding by $5 million per year and would not have a cap on it. And then House Bill 335, if that's enacted as is, that would be a reduction of about $17 million per year. Again, that's not a one-time number, that's an annual number that we would see as a loss in revenue. So all bills that we are watching closely, they're in various stages. House Bill 335, as I mentioned, just started a couple weeks ago. It's a little different than it's different than House Bill 96 in a lot of ways, but one of the ways it's different is that House Bill 96 has had a lot of testimony, a lot of process that it's gone through for months. And House Bill 335, they're not necessarily in that space where they're taking testimony. They're just kind of ready to move on something where they've pulled a lot of things in. But again, these are the potential impacts of these. We're communicating often, daily with our reps to let them know the impacts for us. But we thought we would let our community know what we're facing right now.
So what are we doing? So just to put this in perspective, at one point in time, you probably heard the headlines or the news talk a lot about how property taxes were on this increase that was impacting families drastically. And now you've heard Sean talk a little bit about where that was coming from. That was actually tied to those 2/3 20 mil floor districts. And it's not because the districts have done something wrong. It's because that's how the system is set up. And that House Bill 920 did not apply to 2/3 of the districts that were on the 20 mil floor. And so when those taxes started to go up, people started to reach out to their legislators saying you need to change something about property tax. Well, then the solution was all that you just heard. A whole bunch of ideas came forward from legislators, and now it's impacting more than just the 2/3 of districts that were on the 20 mil floor. It's impacting districts that are in situations that 60% of our revenues are coming from our local taxpayers, and we are managing that money wisely. So the call to action: continue. If you have a relationship with a local legislator, please reach out to them. So if you're watching this, please reach out to our local legislators. We are, and we're letting them know. I would say 3 R's to keep in mind when you're reaching out to a legislator. If this is helpful for you, I like 3, and R will be our letter today to remember. But be respectful when you're reaching out to a legislator. That is really important. These are people. They ran for office. When they feel respected, they listen. When they don't feel respected, they don't listen. And that is just a reality. They're just human beings. 2, give real examples. So a real example is if House Bill 335 goes through, that's 160 teachers. If you cut that many dollars out of Mason City schools, that's eliminating like 160 teachers. So that's a real example of real people and real impact in our school district. So that's why this is a devastating blow to not just our district, but to many districts across the state. And I don't know where, when they say bring in new revenues, they're talking about income tax. That's not something that we've done before, but that would be a big change for our community. So please share those real examples. And then the 3rd R, be relentless in our approach to our legislators, continuously letting them know this is important, not just for this, but beyond this. Because once this is settled in 7 days or so, or whenever this is settled, that will just be the beginning of a conversation that we need to have with our state legislators to let them know that we prefer local control, and we are doing that well. We believe we have a great model here in Mason City Schools, so we want them to look at that model and to listen to our voices before we get this far down the road where it could have devastating impacts to our district. I'll leave it at that. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Dr. Cooper. I think the thing that is most important is, people will ask, well, what's Mason doing? And I think if you saw those slides, it progressively got better, right? And that, as I sit in this chair, I can directly attribute to the work that Sean and Jonathan and team do to let the legislators that are here, but not only here, the Senate Finance Chair, the Speaker of the House, know that, hey, Mason City Schools is delivering everything you'd want for a public school to do for a budget that's less than what you've offered us. What do we typically get per pupil, Sean? It's like $3,000?
Yeah, about $3,500.
$3,500. And we're able to have a Science Olympiad team place 3rd in the country. So I want to thank both of you for the work that you continue to do in making sure that our community's tax dollars are protected and advocated for. I know the five of us do the same with our legislators. So with that, because of the things that are being discussed and debated, and we don't want to be caught flat-footed, we're going to be at item number 7, which is what Mr. Bevan was talking about, a resolution to give the authority to transfer up to $24 million out of our operating fund into the PI fund, should a 30% cap or similar be enacted. So, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further commentary about item number 7?
Yeah, Sean, it's not just, yeah, can you speak to?
Yeah,
exactly
so there's a couple of resolutions here. So one is the final appropriation resolution for fiscal year 25 that we're finishing up here June 30th. The second is the temporary appropriation resolution for fiscal year 26. So 25. So these are basically give us spending authority to pay our people, to pay bills, all those things for the year. And so basically kind of sets the cap on that number. So included in our fiscal year 25 appropriation resolution is the number that Mr. Orr mentioned, that being able to transfer up to $24 million. And so that is one piece of this fiscal year 25 resolution. And so the other piece of approving this is that we are required to approve these as part of our fiscal year closeout and send them to the county auditor for our compliance with Ohio budgetary laws. So this closes out fiscal year 25, allows us to start paying bills and spending in fiscal year 26. But the fiscal year 25 number does include that transfer authority that we were talking about earlier, and we actually will have a specific approval of that even later in the agenda. So we actually have it on here a couple different times, including in this section.
Any further comments? Seeing none, Mr. Bevan, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
5-0.
Item number 8, superintendent recommendations, personnel items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Cooper?
Yes, thank you. We have, this time of the year, we are trying to finalize our hiring staff, bringing on the folks that are going to be kicking off next year, but we're also having a moment to press pause and say goodbye to others that are getting ready to move on to the next chapter of their career. So let me just highlight a few things on here. There's a lot on this agenda, and I'll try to walk through some of the pieces here that are important. It's all important, but some highlights just to mention to you. First section, A, we have Soria Smith moving into a 260 position. Basically, she is an assistant principal at Mason Elementary, and she's taking the next step in that role and assuming the role that's the all year round. All of our administrators work pretty much year round, but they have different levels of contracts, so she's moving to that. So congratulations to Soroya for moving into that next position. We also want to welcome, in section B, we have three outstanding assistant principal candidates that are coming in, taking positions of leadership. We're so excited to announce we have Ashwin Corteal coming from Sycamore High School, Mr. Brandon Lee coming from Mason Middle School, which after we take a vote, we will take a second to say hello. Hopefully, he is an amazing math teacher, and if you check out Facebook, I hear that people are singing his praises, and so happy for him. So thank you,
Goat
Brandon.
has been tossed around a couple of times already tonight on Facebook.
OAT, goat. That's pretty good. Not even in the role yet, and he's jumping right in. That is because
we're getting our act together.
There we go. And we have, and that's a beautiful example of Eric Messer moving into a succession plan legacy role that we have for him. Deanna Todd, who came up underneath him, and she's just rocking it out and stepping into the principal role there, and then Brandon Lee stepping over. So we're just grateful to watch that internal growth of our leaders over time. It's a beautiful thing to see. And then we have Mr. Kyle Litchie coming from Wyandotte Elementary at Lakota School District, and we are just so excited to welcome Kyle to the team. I've had a chance to meet with him, and the energy level is just so exciting, and he is thrilled to join the team. So I want to congratulate Mr. Brown bringing Ashwin over, and the team over at Mason Elementary with Mr. Rob Polka bringing over Kyle Litchie, and congratulations to Brandon as well. Some other things I want to highlight here tonight. Some of these openings are, one, because Tom Dorfline is decided it is time for him to retire and move on to his next chapter. He's excited. He's got some ideas and some personal journey that he is excited about. And so because of the retirement timeline, it has changed. He decided that it was time for him to step into that new chapter of his life. So we want to thank Tom for his just consistent support, service. He's service-oriented. He's been serving our community for a long time, and we just want to thank him for his faithful service here in Mason City Schools. So if you see Tom Dorfline, congratulate him as well. Also in that section E, not only Tom Dorfline, we also have our very own Todd Petrie. Todd Petrie, I know, has served our district faithfully. Todd has served other districts faithfully throughout the Cincinnati and greater Dayton area. He has had a major impact on thousands, probably millions of students. Maybe millions might be a little bit far, but thousands. Todd Petrie's been a great teammate, always gives us something to smile about. Todd, I imagine your heart had to sing when you heard students say, I was in the Dream Center working on things after hours, because the Dream Center was part of our Dream Facility project that Todd has really ushered in and stewarded along the way. And so, and many other examples behind the scenes, whether it's getting those pesky little cicadas out of the air conditioning units to big projects and visionary work down the road that we're excited about. So Todd, we just congratulate you on your next chapter. I know you have big plans, doing all kinds of things, and so thank you for sharing your talents and your time with us. And we'll have much more time to talk about that, but I just want to thank you as well. We also have Dan Distel. I want to congratulate Dan Distel. He's heading off to Hamilton County ESC. He's taking a new position there. He has also served here as an assistant principal, and he's going to Hamilton County ESC, which many people don't know, but his father was, I think, superintendent for 50 years there. So, well, maybe, I don't know if it's 50 years, but I could have my dates or times wrong, but it was.
Graduated high school and became a superintendent. That's a great gig.
I think he's in education for 50 years. I don't think he was the superintendent there, but Mr. Distel, if you're watching this, I know you served faithfully.
It's a remarkable run.
It's
unprecedented.
I didn't write down the numbers, so I'm going a little off memory. So maybe all these numbers that Sean just threw out, okay. All right. So just congratulations to Dan. Thanks for and we wish you the very best on your next. And we also have in Section H all kinds of new folks coming on. You'll see some names on there that are alumni that graduated from Mason. It's always fun when I sit down and I get to interview each person that comes in, and the person halfway through the interview says, yes, you are the one that gave me my diploma, Dr. Cooper. And I'm like, okay, you're back. That's so great. The time goes quick when they leave. A couple other people are moving into new positions. Annie Bruck has also served our district faithfully, and she is retiring down there in Section Q. And Annie, we just thank you for your service here. She's been here at the high school recently and just helping with the scheduling. And Kristen Day is moving into her position. So congratulations, Kristen Day, and all the rest of our folks that are moving into new positions across the district. We also have in Section AB some additional summer work. Last month we did most of our summer work approval, but Dr. Brennan and team have a few more folks that are coming on to help with some of our universal learning experiences, I believe, and some other things that are important to us across the district. There's many other items on here that are really important, but those are just some quick highlights. I want to congratulate all of our folks that are moving on to new positions, because we have a lot of movement going on, and I'm excited because we actually have a system to support and onboard at each level, and that's something we're being really intentional about as we bring people on. We've already been talking with our teacher leaders, with Steph Nally and crew, and also with others around the district, and helping us onboard all of our new staff, and excited about that.
Jonathan, which letter is the speaker for staff professional development?
Professional development will come up.
Is going to be on the next agenda.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk about that. I thought it was.
It will be.
Non-district funded.
Non-district funded.
So it's later in the agenda.
Yeah. Mason Schools
It's item
Foundation.
A now.
Yes, thank you. If you want to speak to that, it'll also come up in our committee report as well. But Mason Schools Foundation is funding a kickoff speaker, AJ Giuliani, for our Comic Con, which is our own conference here, and it will inspire hopefully our staff as they come back in August to kick off the new year. But that is funded by our Mason Schools Foundation, which is a big, just a big help for us to go above and beyond. So thanks for pointing that out. Did anything else that I should highlight or questions about? Team, anything else I'm missing on there? Okay. All right, that's it for now. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper. Further commentary from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Bevan, please call the roll.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
5-0.
And do we have just a second to say hello?
Absolutely.
Congratulations, Mr. Lee. If you want to just say hello, come on over.
Good evening. Well, I come to you tonight just really honored, humbled, thanks to social media. Grateful and truly excited to start this next chapter of my Mason journey. For the past 17 years, I've had the privilege of teaching at Mason Middle School mathematics. I've loved every second of it, and throughout that time, I've always pictured myself as a servant educator. And over the past few weeks, I realized that won't change. I will continue to serve my students, serve the staff, serve the families of Mason Intermediate. I'm going to go into this year ready to learn, listen, contribute, and do whatever I can to help Mason Intermediate continue to do all the great things I know it's doing already. And I'm really excited to work with Deanna Todd and Vivian Verona, great mentors to learn from. So thank you. And yeah, I'm just excited and honored.
Well, Brandon, we thank you for taking the opportunity to stretch and continue to grow your servant leadership here in Mason. So we're lucky to have you, and we're lucky that you get to stretch and grow right here in Mason. So thank you. And congratulations.
Yeah, we look forward to removing interim from both your tags. So whenever you're ready, whenever you're ready. Move to item number 9, superintendent's recommendation action items. Dr. Cooper.
Yes, thank you. And the other two assistants they're actually out of state right now, so they would stop by and say hello as well, but they were out, but they do send their well wishes to everyone and their gratitude. All right, we're going to jump in. We have a lot of items, so if you could just bear with me as I just run through these as quickly as I can, but giving them proper diligence here. We have A is the Hamilton County ESC annual contract. That is something each year that we put.
Dr. Cooper, give me just 1 second.
Yep.
I need a motion. I didn't ask for a motion for action items.
So moved.
Second.
My apologies. Continue.
All right, still bear with me. I'll go as quick as
No,
that
you're
would have been really quick. All right, thank you. Approval. So Hamilton County ESC, all of the services, and you can look into that, but it's many services, including anything from special ed support to gifted services, but we place most of these items each year into a order form, and we give that to Hamilton County ESC, and they support us in several endeavors, including professional learning for our staff and support as well. The book disposal list is we're constantly looking through books, and those books that are ready to move on because they've either the wear and tear or different reasons, they get placed on this book list approved for disposal, and then makes room for new books to come in. And there's a whole process for that piece as well. 2025-2026 Mason Middle School Career Tech Education Waiver, because we have many classes already at our middle school that offer many career tech STEM related kind of experiences. We do not have a career technical school at our middle school as well, because we already take care of many of those things for our kids. So we each year sign the waiver, just letting them know that we have that taken care of. Approval of new course or new curriculum resources. So this is something we brought up last meeting, and there's always 2 meetings when you have new curriculum resources, but there's so much more that goes behind it. Dr. Brennan and team run the Student Achievement Committee. Student Achievement Committee reviews all new resources, whether it's classes, materials and pieces. Those go through that process. They get vetted by the committee. They get recommended to me. I then recommend it to the board. There's a first hearing, a second hearing. Tonight's a second hearing and a vote for approval. I see a couple resources sitting right over here. So even though we're voting in these, if anybody wants to look at resources, always happy to sit down. I know they've been out at Dr. Brennan's desk for a couple weeks now for people to come, but you're always welcome. Just reach out to myself or Dr. Brennan. We'll take good care of you and get you those resources to look at. Next agreement on here is Ohio Valley Voice Agreement, Cincinnati Occupational Therapy Agreement. These are agreements for specific services for specific students that we are getting set up for our kids. Item G is a Hamilton County ESC, again, specific contract or agreement with evaluations in the summer, whether we're doing evaluations for preschoolers coming in or other evaluations we need, we hire help to do that. Hamilton County ESC is also item H, which is our gifted coordinator. We have a gifted coordinator that has a certain set amount of days. We don't have one that's here for a full every day because we share that resource with others, but they do a great job at serving our families and our kids and providing the resources we need. Item I is Hamilton County ESC math and ELA instructional support. So you've heard us talk about new math and ELA curriculum. This is support to make sure that our staff feels confident and comfortable moving forward with how to implement that successfully. Item J is Hamilton County ESC special service agreement with Jenny Woods. She is a intervention specialist coordinator that's at our MI campus, also works with our ME and sometimes even with our middle school at times, depending on the needs. And she's someone that's been with us for several years and serving faithfully. But she is an employee officially of Hamilton County ESC. Warren County ESC shows up at item K, and that is our service agreement there in quote. You'll see also Warren County ESC service quote on L as well. So those two items are just agreements that we have. So not only do we work with Hamilton County ESC, we work with Warren County ESC. Both of these contracts are significant. Warren County ESC, we spend about $4 million in services, whereas Hamilton County ESC, we're spending about $3 million in services. So both significant services for our district and allowing us to serve our kids. Item M, Renaissance Flowcabulary and FastBridge Renewal, is a resource that we use with our students, especially as you've heard us talk about LCSS and other pieces that are with our curriculum. This is a renewal for some of those services that serve our kids' needs. You can imagine Flowcabulary, what that's about with vocabulary. They come up with creative things in curriculum, and this is one of them. Power School, Safe Arrival, that's Tracy Carson in our Public Information Office used some of the Safe Arrival things for communication services, so that's an agreement there for that piece. Item O is Circle Tails Agreement, Facility Dog Internships. I just wanted to read that out loud. All right. So
XLP has really branched out.
You know, the dogs were looking and saying, I want in on that. That is so good. You know, we are just super fortunate and blessed. You've heard of celebrations tonight and all kinds of things, but our approach to well-being holistically, it continues to grow and be just great for our students and our staff. But we have agreements where we have service dogs in each of our buildings, and they're specific therapy dogs. And we have a great relationship with Circle Tail. So there are 2 new therapy dogs that are going to be coming on. One is going to be at MECC as a facility dog, and there's also going to be a new friend here at the high school. I don't know the dogs' names yet, but at some point maybe we'll bring them by to introduce them to the board once they come in. But these agreements are also, we try them out. It's like an internship where they're just making sure they're the right fit and we're the right fit for them. And as they go through that process, then we keep the dogs, and we have 2 gracious employees that are taking them on as host families. And so we're just grateful for those families to do that, and all the support from Shine Like Sable Foundation and Love Like JJ Foundation, both for paying the funds to fund each of these for our kids. And not only do our kids and staff benefit from these, but when other schools have tragic events happen, we often we deploy our resources to support kids in surrounding districts as well. Magic School is item P. Magic School is an AI experience for students. Like one example, the easy example I can give you is it's a safe place for our kids to experience how to use AI to enhance their learning. So if a kid is writing a paper, for example, it doesn't write it for them, but it gives them ideas and it becomes a thought partner with them. And it allows the teacher and the AI assistant and the student to have a more personalized experience and support them. Staff members can also use it. We kicked this off this last year and piloted it. In March, we had a huge influx of folks using it because we did the March Magic School Challenge, and really grateful to bring that on. We'll continue to give you updates, and maybe at some point at one of our meetings, we'll give maybe have a kid come in and share with you how AI is being used in our classrooms as well. A few more items. Train the HVAC service agreements. So Todd does a nice job bringing all the HVAC service agreements to our facilities committee. We review those, and then we put those on for recommendation tonight to keep all of our, and you can tell tonight it feels great in here, even though it's probably 90% humidity outside. And that's tricky when it's humid outside, but our HVAC systems keep all of our creature habits comfortable and all those fun things inside our building, so we appreciate that. Item Q, we just did that. Item R is the SEOTA services. That's Alpha Omega. Those are custodial services that we have, so we have an agreement with them. This agreement is going up 2% this year. I believe it went up 2% last year too, potentially, I think. Is that right? Do I have that right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so it's 2% increase, and those go out to our custodial services. So typically our evening custodial services throughout the district and some others. And then item S, approval of job description. So the Director of Legacy Operations, Mr. Eric Messer, who is part of our succession plan for operations, is coming into this role and setting up some systems that are going to be really important in the next 6 months to get ready. And I know Mr. Petrie and crew is going to help that, but get ready to set up legacy pieces, basically the onboarding and especially professional learning for our classified staff and so on and so forth. So we're gonna work on that, and we're excited for Eric to take over that before he heads into operations officially. Approval of job description for a half-day nurse position. We have evaluated our data, and we are in need of a part-time nurse because of the just growing needs that we have of kids, whether it's insulin during the middle of the day, or there's other paperwork. Like we have lots of paperwork to just make sure is in order and correct so that everyone's safe and that we have all of our kids immunizations and everything else in place. I think that's everything all the way through T. Did I miss anything or jump over? Okay. Thanks for your patience going through that, but those are all important items that help us to do what we need to do. So I appreciate you listening through that.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper.
Thank you.
Any commentary from the board?
I'll just note, being on the student advisory committee, and I know Matt is as well, the presentation of the materials that we've already had a first reading of and are approving tonight with this second reading was very impressive from all of our teachers and staff. I noticed Miss Wilcox, who presented our AP US textbook, she's on taking maternity leave, so we wish her the best. Excited for her to have a expansion in her family. And I would just say that to any members of our community that are interested, I'd reiterate Dr. Cooper's invitation to come take a look at the materials that we're approving tonight, and would also mention that the work that our staff does to vet these materials, particularly ones that go towards standard testing and helping to prepare students for the AP test, that then helps them earn college credit, that then helps them have fewer classes that they have to take, and saves a little tuition, saves a little time on their pursuit of a degree. Those texts and the courses that the teachers teach are really thoroughly vetted and then presented to us in a thoughtful manner at Student Advisory Council. So we appreciate that and have a lot of confidence in them when they do that.
Thank you, Mr. Galvin. I can second that as not only a former member of the Student Achievement Committee, but as
That's
a,
it.
That's a-
I knew it was an S and an A.
Yeah,
And
that one.
it's late.
Yeah. But as a dad who's had a kid go through and take APUS Gov, that's, for those that don't know, a lot of surveys go out to see, a lot of data is crunched to see where students are matriculating. The course I'm probably most excited about is that we have ASL 3 in-house. My daughter had to CCP that. And so it's beyond a blessing to be able to have, a in-house course where a student can be an ASL 3, potentially moving towards an ASL Honor Society. And then on the back end of that, we still have contracting services with Valley Voices who allow our students who are taking ASL to go into there and use what they're learning to connect with other communities. So, very full circle moment, very full action items list. And so, yeah, for those community members that have questions, please, Dr. Brennan is accessible. The materials are accessible. We're not hiding anything, but as a dad who is going to be excited to have to pay for one less year of college because of all the AP credits, it's a very, very fair trade we call that value. So any further commentary? Seeing none. Mr. Bevan.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Ms. Abachi?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. Yingling?
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you. I think we have come to item number 10, Treasurer's Report. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bevan, whenever you're ready.
So a couple of things to highlight on here. First few items up here are just our monthly reports from the financial reports from the month of May. Couple other things. Under the amended certificate of resources, above we approved our appropriation resolution that was on the expenditure side for the year. This amended certificate is actually on the revenue side for the year, so same concept. We'll report that to the county auditor as part of our budgetary compliance. The other item, donations, advances, transfers, and adjustments. This one is actually, we've talked about this a couple times here tonight, but the total transfers are as part of the total appropriations that we approved above. This is actually a list of specific line item transfers and advances that we're approving up to certain dollar amounts. And so we won't necessarily enact all of these. We say up to because it kind of gives us the authority to go up to that dollar amount, obviously. We mentioned the $24 million transfer a couple times. That is something that we would only enact if needed. And so the budget bill is still working its way through the process, again, in conference committee. Once we find out exactly how that plays out, this maybe is something that hopefully is something we would not need at all. If it is something that we would need to protect district assets, it is something that we could to utilize and still put those dollars into a capital fund that we could use for roofs and pavement and things like that. But again, only something we would use if we need it.
And we need to do this because the fiscal year will close. We won't have another meeting after it might go into effect.
Correct.
And so we
Yep.
need to authorize that in advance.
And we didn't want to have to call an emergency meeting to do so. So it's long-term planning. We can look into the future. There you go.
So June 30 is our fiscal year end, so we'll be working on, this is just part of our fiscal year end processes, and we'll make sure that we would, if we need to enact that, based on what the budget bill does, we would have the authority to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Bevan. Any further board commentary? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Ms. Abachi?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
5-0.
Okay, we are almost there. We have reached item number 11, committee reports. Looks like Athletic Council.
Yes, we had athletic council, and we went over the budget end of the year just to kind of see where things have fallen, and I believe we're going to have some further conversation with Scott Stemple, athletic director, and Sean Bevan and myself, just to look at the budget in general and see if there's some adjustments that need to be made there. We have not made any adjustments to pay for play or anything for a long time, but we are noticing some trends that we're going to have to just start to look at and see if we need to fund more out of general budget or how we're going to do the general fund. So we'll take a closer look at that. That was one of our conversations that we had in a follow-up. We also talked about some of the Well, one conversation I think is a good one. It's spring sports. We have this beautiful ESPYs award event that kids put on, and it's awesome. So put it on your calendar. It's great. It's a great way to celebrate our kids. But what happens, and we hear this every time, is our spring sports don't feel like they get quite the full comprehensive review of their season. And it's a fair assessment because they start. So one adjustment, kind of meeting in the middle, and a kind of a third way, they're going to move the ESPYs to the very final week of school after graduation so that we can have as much of the spring seasons represented as possible. We also talked about a couple of different agreements, one with our swim partners with Manta Rays, just like how could we continue to partner with them with some of our weight room facilities as well, and looking into that. So that was a conversation we had. And then those are the ones I remember off the top of my head without looking at the agenda, but anything to add?
Nope, you nailed it.
Okay.
All right.
Foundation, I think I'll
Yes,
turn that over to
Mason
Tracy. Is that okay?
Yeah, Mason Schools Foundation, this was our, for people on the foundation, it's one of our favorite meetings in the fact that we get to approve our foundation budget. Remember, our foundation's a separate 501c3 from the school district over, now since 2008 has been raising funds, and we are excited to be on track once again to be ready to donate more than $100,000 back to our schools. That's part of our allocated budget, and so love that we've been able to do that now significantly for many years because lots of people have been giving back to the foundation. So thank you for that. And then we did approve 3 additional grants. One was one that's really exciting. Dr. Brennan put in a grant to really kick off our staff journeys and pathways, knowing that it's with our move to Journey Days, with our balanced calendar, it gives us opportunity to have these really fantastic 4 days of learning mixed throughout the year. And how do you bring energy and excitement? One of the ways is to have a really, really fantastic speaker. And so AJ Giuliani, who we've already heard great things about, who's very consistent with what we view is exciting about learning. So a $14,500 grant to Amy's team to really make sure that for this first year that there's some extra special above and beyond ways to get staff excited about this opportunity. Then we also did an almost $9,000 grant for Fueling Comet Performance, which is building a nutrition center for our student athletes that will be right within the new weight room that we have. The Trent Smart and that team, Brandon, are working with Todd as well, just to have an idea that when athletes finish, we know getting protein, doing those good nutritional things is a big push. And so boosters and athletic teams will be coming up with ways to kind of how they're going to fund those smoothies for all those athletes, but we'll be building the performance center for them, which we understand is very typical in most college experiences now, and our kids will have that leg up going in and feel fueled. And then also just a small grant, but it's also what the foundation does as well, a $2,000 when our elementary schools, MECC, ME, and MI work so hard on their reading challenges, they always get a percentage back directly to that school for having worked so hard to get those funds. And so Melissa Bly put in, she wanted to use $2,000 of her reading challenge funds to just help spruce up a grant that the foundation funded several years ago from Laura Martin, the outdoor classroom grant that's in the preschool area. It's a beautiful grant. It was about a $35,000 grant at that time. But you can tell the foundation is also committed to helping maintain that so that that doesn't come on to the district's operations as well. So we appreciate that.
Well done. So grateful for the work and the support of the Mason Schools Foundation. So thank you. We're going to move to item number 12, legislative update. Dr. Cooper again.
Well, I think we gave a pretty thorough update before, but I know a lot of people fast forward and when they're watching this afterwards, they just look for this section. So what I want to tell you is go back in
Rewind.
the film,
Yeah.
rewind, and watch Sean Bevan unpack the information that you're going to need. So if you are jumping forward to this, jump back in the film and watch that. Highly encourage people to. Thanks.
Well done. All right, so that allows us to move seamlessly to item number 13, administrator commentary. And we'll start with Mrs. Carson.
Well, I just went to, it was a really fun night in terms of just seeing legacy at work from our students. I loved how they talked about, and you, Mr. Steele mentioned it too, of seeing the building of the legacy. And I was thinking about that tonight. You all approved them, which is great because they were announced on Facebook before this and Instagram of our new assistant principals, and people were so excited to see. And there's really neat links to legacy there with Mr. Corteil and Mr. Litchie and also Mr. Lee. And then other players who've been huge for legacy impact, Tom Dorfline and Dan Distel, but certainly Todd. I think we'll have lots of time to talk about you, but when I think about your legacy impact that's real, we have a brand new total middle school remodel that you helped shape and imprint, and MECC additions over and over again that you had an absolute impact in, and dream centers throughout our district that have your imprint, but more than that, and those are lasting, they are here. But I think more than that, what I know your people feel, and I certainly see it, is the way that you have always just worked so right beside. No job is too big or small. No person didn't deserve to have the humbling way that you just go and serve right beside people and you see them, and that is even a bigger legacy that you lead. So thank you, Todd.
Sean, is it too late to revisit a vote on a retirement?
Noted.
Well, yeah, so Todd, I mean, I know we'll have time, so just a huge, yes, I know, 6 more months I'll keep you on track as best I can, but just an enormous congratulations to you. I'm just so excited for you, and I know it's a big decision for you. Well, it's just been such a joy, literal joy. You bring joy everywhere you go, and then do really great, impactful work. So it's been joy and a real honor to work on a team with you these past 6 years. I'm glad I get 6 more months for that as well. So congrats. And a big welcome to all of our new staff and our APs. I just, especially for stepping into those building leadership roles, had a chance to connect with each of them since they accepted the offers. And wow, I mean, we just really have some excellent leaders coming our way. And I just appreciate from Brandon taking, 17 years in the classroom and taking the leap into a different role. And then with Ashwin and Kyle saying, yeah, I'm ready to see a new district. I'm in a place where I'm highly respected and loved, and I'm ready to sort of try something new. So I'm just so appreciative of all of them. And speaking of appreciation, so appreciative for the Mason Schools Foundation all the time, but their really generous support of our staff learning journeys launch, and our Comic-Con grant, along with it'll support AJ Giuliani, but also some other things that will just make it even a little bit more Mason magical and create some moments for our educators, knowing and their appreciation and support for educators all of the time, and knowing how that has a huge impact on our students as well. So just excited for their investment in that work and the continued partnership.
Thank you, Dr. Brennan. Dr. Blessing.
Good evening. Well, I want to just say shout out to all of our student state champions this evening. Wow. Some very bright young leaders coming our way, so that's exciting. Also, congratulations to Todd. I'm not very happy, but I'm happy for Todd, but sad for us. So congratulations, and we'll definitely celebrate and remind him of all the things that we want him to stay and do until January 1st. So thank you. And Marcia Croy, I wanted to recognize her. She resigned this evening, is going to be going over to King's and taking a new role in their superintendent's office. So we wish her well, and we'll miss her in the HR department, and are excited to welcome Mr. Aaron Bach, which you approved this evening. So he's had a lot of HR experience and is actually one of our assistant girls basketball coaches. So just having a different role in our district starting soon. So we're happy to welcome him, and of course our new staff. Board members, mark your calendars for Monday, August 4th. We're starting to plan our new hire event, so we'll send you an official invitation, but getting ready to welcome all of our new staff because we're over 50 at this point. So we definitely look probably close to 75 all new staff by the time we're all said and done. So it's a big year. I'm calling it the class of 2025. So new hires. So we're excited.
That is
Have a
very
wonderful
exciting.
4th of July. So it's crazy summer's going too fast.
And the work continues. Christine.
Yes, thank you. So I want to congratulate the students that were honored tonight. It's always a joy to see all of their work and how articulate they are and how they're just able to speak so well. And I'm always amazed, and I'm always like, I wish I could be like them. But at any rate, I also want to thank Tom for all of his service. We're going to miss him. And Todd. I mean, my heart breaks because I adore Todd. He's an incredible teammate. And what's special about him, and I think it speaks to actually our journeys and our pathways, is he takes his passion for things he does outside and he brings it here. So he's remodeled a basement. What are you doing with the house now?
Renovating a whole house.
We're renovating a house now. So he's taken all of those passions, and we've really benefited from that knowledge. So he's been able to subcontract for us. He saved the district lots and lots of money for just being able to do some of the things based on some of the passion and skill sets that you have. And I'm greatly appreciative for his knowledge, and you're so kind. I mean, his heart, he works with some of our expulsion hearings, and his heart for students is unreal. He's really looking at the heart of a student. It's not about what they did. It's about helping them recognize that this is an educational moment. So there's just so much to Todd. I think his experience as superintendent, as well as working here, he's brought such breadth and care for all of us. So I just appreciate you so much. I'll miss you dearly. And he makes me laugh. I mean, if you ever see me like disrupting, it's because of him. So
It's funny. I've heard that from someone else before.
He
We
makes
used
me
to
laugh
sit there.
all the time. I'm always like,
Yeah.
So anyway, but we'll miss him very much.
First, I'd like to thank the foundation for the $9,000 for the room. Actually, we're able to do that so cheap. Years ago, we hired a gentleman by the name of Mike Stalin, and he works for us by the hour on the side. He used to build homes, and he really saves us a lot of money and does great work and just really understands the process. I also want to thank everyone for the kind words to retire. I'm proud that I'll retire from Mason. I've worked, a third of my career has been here. Very proud to be a Mason Comet. I spent the other 2/3 stealing all the ideas that Mason had and used them when I was a principal and a superintendent. So it's been a pleasure. We have 6 months left. But I will say, I've worked in some really good school districts, and I've never seen the talent and the intelligence of the team I work with right now. So sometimes I get goofy in there because I got to do something that I'm good at, because I have people like Amy that are like geniuses. So I'm the goofy guy. But nonetheless, they are fun to work with. Love to irritate them and interrupt meetings and not be on topic. And Jonathan has learned to just tolerate me so well. And but people ask, what's the best thing about working at Mason? Well, it's the ability to wear tennis shoes to work. So I have really, and I don't say that in a kidding matter. I went the first 27 years with terrible back problems. And then when I was able to start wearing comfortable shoes, man, I don't have back problems. So it's really been a good thing, and you can be yourself at Mason, be who you want to be. And that's why I see we have 3 superstar assistant principals coming on. And I mean, these are top-notch people from other districts that are just attracted to Mason like a magnet. And I know Dr. Cooper probably takes a lot of heat for that, but when good things are happening, people want to be a part of that. And I think we're seeing that now from some of these folks that are coming to us to make Mason an even better place in the future.
Well, I'll appreciate all the nice things you said, but you're still leaving, and that makes us sad. And so we agree with you, but stay just a little bit longer. No, we're very excited for you, Todd, and very grateful for your contributions always. So, Mr. Bevan.
Just a thank you to all of our staff for another great year. We have great staff all over the district and all of our buildings and all of our departments. So thank you to them for everything they do for our kids and families. Congratulations to the Science Olympiad in Moot Court. Kids, I'm always amazed by our kids, and to see them stand up here and talk about their experiences is always so impressive. So congratulations to them and their families. And lastly, congratulations to Todd. So many things I could say I really appreciated and have enjoyed working with them, but a couple things in particular. Todd's a real get-it-done guy. So when you say you need something done, like, it will be done. So if we left here tonight and said the temperature needs to be 3 degrees warmer next time, it would exactly be 3 degrees warmer tomorrow. So appreciate that. And then also, one step further, he's a get-it-done guy, but it's not. He is also really good with people, and so he doesn't run over people on the way to getting things done. He treats people well. He treats people right. He cares about people, respects people. So we'll miss you a lot, and congratulations.
Dr. Cooper?
Yeah, this is our last, I mean, we have a July, but last time we're probably all going to be in the same space until August because we have different schedules and things happening. So just really quick, recognize my team for just the work that they do all year long. And Tracy's communication is just on target. We have done so many different varieties of communication over the year, but recently with our advocacy and just getting people organized, and I know that she loves to do that and does that really well, so just appreciate that. Dr. Brennan's work with, we do a recharge, and there's a lot of details that come together, and I've got a lot of ideas, but it takes someone to say, so how are we actually going to put all the pieces in the Tetris together in a way that's going to be thoughtful and received well by all of our staff? And so Dr. Brennan and her team, just a beautiful job on helping that come together. And our recharge was amazing. And give a lot of credit to the team. Dr. Blessing coming on, just jumping right in and taking on one of our biggest ever. Hey, welcome. 75 new staff members, and doing that with a smile the whole time, and just sharing life with us quickly, and just being vulnerable with our team, and just being just a great teammate. And thank you for just jumping right in. Christine McCormick is an innovator. She's got all kinds of cool things that she's working on behind the scenes that people don't even know about yet that are going to make their lives better. Whether it's our HR systems or other systems that our families are going to benefit from. But she puts millions of hours into that, so thank you very much for all your work with that. Todd, Todd, I'll just say one little thing. I've learned a lot from Todd. We talk a lot, and we do a lot of fun stuff and laugh together a lot. But one time he said, there's a bus accident. I said, well, we need to get there. He said, no problem, jump in my car. And we made it to this bus accident in a record time. And I learned that, you know what, you can go the opposite way in roundabouts. I did not know that. But they work both ways. They work both ways. But we made it to that accident, and those kids were safe. And you're right, get it done. And we'll share more stories along the way. But we just love Todd. We love just working together. And he's right. It's a blessing to work with a team of people you just really appreciate and love. And then Sean, just a man of integrity, going through just goofiness with the legislative stuff. And I can just lose my mind sometimes with all this stuff. I'll come back from Columbus pretty down, and he just calmly just continues to just unpack the things, and it's going to be okay, and laughs and continues to deliver high quality and helps me understand a lot of stuff, because I'll come back and say, or text him randomly, what in the world is going on? What does this mean? Why is this levy so important? So just appreciate it. So I appreciate each of my teammates. I know we are wrapping up a year, and all of our staff for delivering another year of excellence. I know we got Steph Nally working late tonight for the teachers, and I just appreciate all of our teachers and staff that give extra time in the summer and continue to just do the work and get it done. And it's for our kids. And you saw our kids tonight. That kid, he just can't stop from smiling. He's so excited. I love that you noticed that. Our kids are just giddy about what they're doing. So I do love our kids. Thank you for giving me a second just to recognize.
Of course. Thank you, Dr. Cooper. Last and certainly least, item 14, board commentary. We'll start with Attorney Galvin.
I've said enough tonight. I'll kick it out.
All right, beautiful.
That never
Miss
happens,
Yingling.
Charles.
I know.
Mark it down.
It's late.
Mark it
It's
down.
late. That was legit. That was legit.
I'm
There
falling
was
asleep.
There was a glance. There was a glance at the clock, and yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm gonna be good with where I'm at tonight too, thank you.
Beautiful.
Well, you know me. I'm good with that.
You good with that?
The only thing I
I knew it. I knew it.
I appreciate Jonathan, but you'll appreciate it. You're going to feel bad that you're making fun of me because you want me to say this. I just want to say quickly that it is a testament to our entire staff and our leadership team and you, Jonathan Cooper, that we are able to attract the people that we're bringing in from other districts. I know we've said that a few times, but I want you to hear that from the board, that we are just so impressed. You all continue to take it up a notch, our staff and the leadership team too. You make Mason better every single day, and it is reflected in the way we're able to attract the 75 new staff members and those rock star leaders. So just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Our reputation precedes us. And I think that was my big takeaway tonight.
Yep.
I've been a lot of places, done a lot of things. There's not been a place that I've wore the green and white that somebody didn't stop me and say, hey, you live in Mason? You go to Mason? In-state, out-of-state, doesn't matter. And so all that work gets done behind the scenes. So wonderful school year. You guys killed it. We will have challenges, and we will face them together, and we will face them with honesty and integrity. So excited for the 25-26 school year. And with that, do I have a motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Yes, sir.
Yes.